Hello and welcome to the introduction to barg plate. We are using a method called barg plate to help us draw the outside edges and details a little easier because we see how these straight lines connect, and we also see how we can connect objects within our space that we're working on drawing. And this will help you make the accuracy much higher than if you were just trying to eyeball it. Now here is our path that we're following. We are on step 1 today. We're working on the envelope step, which means that we're drawing the basic outside edges of our shape. So here is what it's going to look like at the end of this step. Now, this is a follow along video, so I want you to make sure that you've got these things out. You should have a ruler, you should have a shish kebab stick, you should have a pencil to draw with that is sharp. Now, we are going to start by drawing our lines on our reference photo cat, and you are going to do this along with me. So go ahead and take your rulers, and I am going to draw these lines in red so that you can see them a little bit easier than if it was just a pencil line for you. So we're gonna start by just tracing right along the top of the cat's forehead. So we're lining it up so that it matches most of the edge, and although of course we're overlapping the ears, that's okay. So we're just gonna outside mark along the forehead. Go ahead and do that now. All right, our next step is to show ourselves the outside edges of the cat's face. Now, this line is kind of wavy, but we're just going to try to connect to as many parts of it as we can. So I am going to connect with like the bottom of the neck and the side of the ear. So go ahead and do that with me. We're connecting the bottom of the neck and the side of the ear. And here's that line. You can see it in red just a little bit easier, and you're welcome to use your pencil. I'm using red so that you can just see this line a little bit easier. All right, our next line is connecting the other side of the face and ear. So I'm going to connect, and I can overlap a little bit on that curve of the ear. So I'm just coming in and adding that nice side line. All right, so we've got our forehead. We've got the edge of the face and the ear and the other edge of the face and the ear. Now we need to finish this off by coming in and drawing in the other side of the ear. So I'm going to try to connect it so that as much of it is touching as possible. And I might need to just extend this line up a little bit so that we've got those full triangles. Go ahead and do that now. All right. Now we're coming over to the other ear, and we're going to just do the same thing. We want to have as much of our ruler touching as possible, and we're just drawing that line in. All right, so at this point, we have our reference lines drawn. So what we're going to do now, I am going to switch to working with my shish kebab stick, and I am going to come in and give myself some measurements. The way I'm gonna do that is I'm putting my shish kebab stick in my left hand. Go ahead and do this with me. We're gonna set our shish kebab stick down so that the flat edge is right on this first part of our forehead line. Go ahead and set your flat edge of your shish kebab stick right on the very outside edge of the forehead line. And we're resting it on top of this box. All right, now you're gonna put your thumbnail right here on the edge where it's just touching that line. And I'm gonna pinch this space. Everybody do that with me. Now, be ready to pick up your stick. We're gonna move this over, and I'm gonna set my thumbnail right at that same outside part of the box, and I'm gonna make a dot. All right. So we're making that dot to measure where that first line is. Now we are going to measure to see where this second dot is. So I am going to measure from the bottom, and I'm placing this in my left hand. I'm putting my left thumbnail right on the edge. Now I'm gonna bring that over and make my second mark. Go ahead and do that too. So we should have these 2 marks for our forehead line. When we get 2 marks, let's connect them so that we don't get confused about what is what. So here is our forehead line. Now let's do the left ear line. All right, so we're gonna measure. Let's do this together. So take your shish kebab stick. We're gonna put it in our left hand. We're gonna use the flat side to touch the line. Our thumbnail is going to measure where the edge of the box is. Everybody do that with me. Now we're gonna pinch and move over, and we just make a mark right at the edge of that flat spot. Now we need to see where this touches on the bottom, and mine touches just right about here. It's not quite to the bottom. So I'm going to just set this down, pinch that little measurement, and that is right where it's touching. Go ahead and add that mark. Once you've got it, let's go ahead and connect. And we'll draw this line going up a little taller because it does extend high up for that ear. All right, and if this feels a little tricky, remember that this is just the first time that you're trying it, and it will get easier as you continue practicing. Now, on the right side of the ear, we're gonna measure this. Sometimes I'll put the flat edge of my shish kebab stick on the outside of the box, and I'll use my thumbnail to measure where the line is touching. So let's try that method now. We're gonna put the flat edge on the box, and our thumbnail is where the line touches. And we're gonna do a shorter measurement here. We're gonna measure from the bottom of the box to see where it touches on this side. All right, so we're gonna take that measurement. I've got the flat edge on the bottom. My thumb is up where the mark is. So now I've got these two marks, and we are going to connect those to create this line. We get a little triangle off to the side here too. So that's your check. See if you've got this little triangle. All right. Now we are going to draw the top of the ear lines. So what we're going to do for this, because when we add in these lines, we're looking to see their two contact points. Now all of our other lines so far have had two contact points on the box, right? This touches here and here. This touches here and here, which helps us know which angle to place these lines at. But because our ear lines only have this one short part that's touching the actual box, and it's not touching the box anywhere else, we're going to take what's called an internal measurement. So that means that we're going to measure where this touches on the box and then where it touches on the forehead line. All right, so let's take that first measurement. We're gonna just add in, let's do the top of the right ear. We're gonna measure where it touches the box in the only spot that it does. So we're gonna just come over here, set that down, and that is where it touches on this box. Now let's measure where it touches on the forehead line, and we're just gonna measure from the edge of the box how far out that distance is. So from the edge of the box, my thumbnail is where that mark touches. And then we combine those dots. All right, we've got one more left. Let's do this itty bitty one. So we're gonna measure where it touches the box first. And I'm using the flat edge. It's in my left hand. I'm using my thumbnail to measure. Move it over, make that little mark. Now I need to measure how far out on the forehead line this goes, because we are measuring an internal measurement for this one. So I'm going to measure, and I know that it comes this far out on the forehead line. Now I'm going to connect those two little dots right here to give myself the correct angle for the ear. Now, I know that this might seem tedious, especially at this phase, but you're going to see that as we start blocking out this space for ourselves, it's going to make the end result so much more accurate and easier to reach, because we are not using any transfer methods, no tracing, and we're trying to just draw from a reference photo still with high accuracy. So this is going to give you really awesome results, and I know it feels tricky at first, but it gets easier as you go. So I'm excited to see the work you guys make and the progress that you make. So good job, and we'll keep on going.